Labs and Rottweilers are both high-energy breeds that need plenty of exercise and thorough training, but they have some serious differences too. I'm not going to give you detailed comparisons of their colours, sizes and weights today. You already know what they look like. What I'm going to do instead is to give you my honest opinion to help you decide which breed is likely to be the best fit for you, your lifestyle and your family in terms of their temperament traits and personality. What do you want from a dog? Few dogs fulfill every role that dogs are traditionally known for. Things like guarding, herding, hunting, and of course companionship, which is the primary role for most dogs these days. The second role that people may have in mind when they're looking for a dog is that of a guard dog. They want to feel safe and protected in their homes. But this is where problems can sometimes arise because guarding instincts can be difficult to turn off, and because dogs that make the best companions often lack these instincts entirely. The Rottweiler wins the guard dog game hands down. Very few Labradors will guard your home or your person with the same courage and tenacity as a Rottweiler. Many Labs will not guard it at all, and most of those that will are easily distracted by an intruder bearing food or overcome by an intruder who is armed or unafraid of dogs. A Rottweiler is a very different prospect. What about herding? Well, historically the ancestors of the Rottweiler were used to herd and guard livestock. However, the modern Rottweiler is not usually considered the best choice when it comes to herding. Nowadays we have various pastoral breeds such as the Border Collie that are much better suited to the purpose. Likewise, Labradors aren't suited to herding either, though both breeds will be useful around a farm or homestead and can be trained to carry out simple tasks that will assist you. What about hunting? Well, both Labs and Rottweilers are smart dogs that are capable of finding and flushing live game, and both can be taught to retrieve, but hunting and retrieving is where Labradors really come into their own. The popularity of the Labrador Retriever as a service and therapy dog is in part due to the skills bred into them that make Labs such good hunting companions, including their willingness to cooperate with a human companion and ability to learn to follow instructions at a distance. And generations of breeding Labs as hunting companions has created a dog that excels at finding and retrieving shot game. So if hunting's important to you, this is a role best suited to the Labrador. But what about companionship? That's what most of us are here for. Labradors and Rottweilers are both popular companion dogs and they have some attributes in common. Both need a couple of hours of exercise a day. This doesn't have to be all through walking. If you have space at home, you can give a dog a great workout with retrieving games. And two or more dogs that play together on a daily basis will also get quite a bit of exercise through that activity alone. But in general, you need to be thinking of around 2 hours of your time, so that's an hour in the morning and evening spent exercising your dog. They've both got short, easy care coats. Both breeds shed. They're not hypoallergenic, so they won't suit people allergic to dogs, but the attribute that matters above all else in a dog that's going to share a place in the heart of your family is temperament. And while both breeds are loyal and affectionate, quick to learn and relatively easy to train, in other respects their temperaments are very different. The Labrador's easygoing open friendliness is legendary. I have to say that not every Lab lives up to this reputation, however. There are Labs that are nervous or reactive, and this kind of nervousness can lead to aggression. However, on balance, you stand a good chance of getting a friendly dog if you buy a Labrador puppy and socialise it appropriately. Rottweilers have strong guarding instincts and tend to be wary of strangers and quick to be defensive of the resources they value. This might include members of your family, your property, and sometimes even individual items within it. If you are nervous about intruders and feel vulnerable in your home, or when you're out and about, a fearless and potentially aggressive companion might seem like a great idea, but managing a large, powerful and potentially angry dog can be a challenge. You might have heard that fear of strangers or aggression are caused by a lack of socialisation, and that if you socialise your Rottweiler thoroughly, you won't have any problems in that respect. At one time it was believed that friendliness and general good temperament in dogs was all about genetics. Over the last few decades, the importance of socialisation in creating friendly dogs has become more widely understood, to the point where it is currently in some doggy circles almost a denial of the role of genetics in determining temperament. My own view is that genetics may be a little less important than our ancestors thought, but a lot more important than the mainstream opinion is currently acknowledging. So while complete lack of socialisation might cause some problems in some Labrador puppies, sloppy or not very thorough socialisation is likely to be less of an issue than in breeds that are naturally less friendly and outgoing. More importantly, in those most naturally less outgoing breeds, there is a limit to what even the best socialisation can achieve. In other words, you can't turn your Rottweiler into a lab by simply putting more effort into socialising them. And let's face it, none of this would matter so much if Rottweilers were smaller, but they're not. The average Rottweiler is a large, well-built dog with heavy bone and more muscle than a lab. There's a fairly wide range of average, of course, and while labs can be big dogs, there is no comparison with the strength of a Rottweiler. The average adult lab is a medium to large dog that weighs around 70 pounds. An adult male Rottweiler is likely to top the scales at over 100. These are very powerful dogs, and when that power is combined with aggression, reactivity, or impulsiveness, it raises concerns about control and safety. The most common hazard I see with large dogs is lunging and pulling. If a dog weighing over 100 pounds suddenly charges forwards, it can easily pull the human on the other end of the leash off their feet. So if you own a large dog, training them to walk nicely is a top priority. This can be much harder if the dog is reactive or aggressive, not to mention the risk to others if you lose control of them. The other risk around a powerful dog, and the one that tends to hit the headlines, is the potential for aggression. One of the problems in keeping a guard dog is that it can be difficult for them to discriminate between bona fide visitors and unwanted intruders. Sadly, another problem is that sometimes aggressive dogs direct this aggression towards family members. From 2005 to 2017, 16% of all dog bite fatalities involved a babysitter, grandparent, or relative watching a child or looking after the dog. Many people get bitten by dogs each year, especially children who struggle to accurately judge when a dog doesn't want their attention. In 2003, 75% of all dog bites were accounted for by just 3 breeds: Pit Bulls, Rottweilers and German Shepherds. And between 2005 and 2019, Rottweilers were responsible for just under 10% of all fatal attacks on humans by dogs, second only to the Pit Bull. Labradors were responsible for 2% of fatalities, despite being a much more numerous breed. Now, of course, most Rottweilers live peacefully with their families and never bite anyone, but it must be acknowledged that the potential for serious injury does exist, and that the risk is lower in the Labrador. For this reason alone, I would urge you to consider very carefully whether you are knowledgeable or experienced enough to ensure the safety of your family and the wider public once you're responsible for an adult Rottweiler. Even if you are ready for that responsibility, is it worth it? If you're primarily looking for a companion dog or a hunting companion, the Labrador is almost certainly your best choice. If you want a dog that will protect you and your property, then a Rottweiler is much more likely to fulfill the role. But remember that you will be responsible for ensuring your dog is under control and not a risk to the general public, your family, or innocent visitors to your home. Training a protection dog is a specialist skill, and you'll need an experienced protection dog trainer to advise and teach you how to manage your dog more safely. Even then, there are no guarantees, and while we do sometimes know what triggers a dog to attack, in many cases we don't. Rottweilers are amazing dogs, beautiful, intelligent and fearless, but they are also a specialist breed that, in my view, the vast majority of people don't need and probably shouldn't have. Obviously, we all have our preferences, and my preference for a family dog is the Labrador Retriever, but I'm very happy to hear from those of you who disagree, as well as those that don't. Whatever the breed you choose, enjoy your dog, train them well, and don't forget to leave us a comment below the video. Let's have a chat there.